There's a bill making its way through the legislative session that would make all drugs that are not currently legal in Idaho permanently illegal by constitutional amendment. Sounds pretty severe, right? Meanwhile, there's another effort underway that is trying to offer at least one small exception. Today, legislation was introduced in committee at the Statehouse to legalize medical marijuana. It would still have to have a hearing in that committee, so this is by no means even close to becoming a done deal. The legislation, though, is very narrow, very specific, and it's being described as the most restrictive medical marijuana bill drafted here in Idaho. Still, we know this, right? There are skeptics, probably you sitting at home right now, saying this is a slippery slope to recreational marijuana. Well, Joe Paris spoke with a co-sponsor about what the bill would and would not do and find out why and how it is so restrictive.
I think this bill is very well tailored to just helping the sick and only the sick get exactly what they need.
Minority Leader Democrat Alana Rubel is co-sponsoring new legislation that aims to legalize medical cannabis under a very narrow scope. The legislation spans over 50 pages and is very specific, only allowing medical cannabis treatment for people 21 and older dealing with certain illnesses, including cancer, ALS, AIDS, Crohn's disease, epilepsy, and terminal illness.
This is not something where someone could just be walking around with a baggie of marijuana and say, hey man, it's medical. Like, not at all. This would look and basically be treated like opioids.
Representative Rubel says a major idea behind the legislation is to give an alternative for people who are prescribed opioids to deal with pain.
This is oxycodone, my other opioid.
Retired Air Force Senior Master Sergeant Jeremy Kitzhaber is terminally ill with stage 4 cancer linked to handling hazardous materials while serving in the Air Force. He gave a comprehensive presentation to lawmakers about the legislation and the relief cannabis could provide to people like him dealing with extremely painful conditions. Kitzhaber told the committee that he has had specialty doctors out of state that wanted to prescribe him medical cannabis because of the good they say it would do for him, but he says they couldn't because of Idaho law.
He got this pretty clearly through the work he did in the Air Force working with radioactive materials. And his friends lost limbs serving our country. And so it just felt very wrong to me that, when they need us now, when they need us to make sure that they can get the medication they need so they're not on these deadly opioids, I think we need to stand up and help them.
In most cases, the legislation only allows those with specific conditions to get a very limited 30-day supply of medical cannabis that is capped at 22% THC. Representative Rubel says that cap makes it clear that this is about providing pain relief, not a way for people to get high. It was pointed out during testimony that about 80% of Idahoans live less than 2 hours away from somewhere that they could legally buy marijuana. Kitzhaber is well aware of that, but says for him personally and others he knows battling painful illnesses, they want to get their medicine legally.
What I'm trying to do with this is make it to where those of us that need it for medical reasons don't have to risk a criminal prosecution. And I think there's the majority, if not all, of the patients who actually want this for a legitimate treatment are going to do it in a law-abiding way.
Rubel says creating a bill that is narrow, specific, and only allows for small amounts of medical cannabis would make it undesirable to those that would try and abuse the system.
It's not a slippery slope, and I think we can do this responsibly and make it available just medically. It would be so hard to get this and to abuse it, that this is not going to be the thing that opens the door to potheads everywhere.
Okay, speaking of that then, what is restricting a doctor from just kind of being very lax with his signing off on these prescriptions, if that's what they were going to call them? Why can't somebody just walk in and say, I'm in pain, can I have some medicinal marijuana?
Yeah, Representative Rubel took that on, and what she alluded to with that specific list of conditions. I asked Representative Rubel exactly what you just asked me. Let's say someone says they have shoulder pain and they go tell their doctor, that won't be enough. This is a very specific, targeted, narrow scope, according to Representative Rubel. And they have also made it to the point, Brian, where they think it would be so much work for someone to try and just game the system that it wouldn't be worth their time. And the product, the THC product they'd be getting, wouldn't really be what a recreational user would be looking for.
It's also very interesting that one of our representatives would suggest somebody go across the border to obtain that pain relief they're looking for when they can't bring it back with them. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that.